And now to South America, where tensions between the United States and Venezuela have escalated sharply as the White House dismissed a request from Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro for direct talks with President Trump. The development comes after the Venezuelan leader had sent a letter to President Trump urging him to keep the peace and rejecting allegations that he and his regime are involved in drug trafficking. The Trump administration, however, called the letter full of lies and reiterated that it considers President Maduro's government illegitimate.
According to media reports, Maduro has sent a letter to President Trump, but President Trump avoided saying whether he has read it. Did he receive it?
We have seen this letter. Frankly, I think there were a lot of lies that were repeated by Maduro in that letter, and the administration's position on Venezuela has not changed.
The tensions come amid a significant U.S. military buildup in the southern Caribbean. President Trump has deployed 8 warships and a submarine as part of an anti-drug operation which Venezuela fears could be the first step toward a potential invasion. In fact, in recent weeks, U.S. forces have also destroyed at least 3 vessels suspected of carrying drugs, killing over a dozen people. President Maduro's letter dated September 6 was released publicly over the weekend. In it, he rejected U.S. claims that he leads a drug cartel and insisted that Venezuela's role in regional drug trafficking is in fact exaggerated. He noted that only 5% of Colombia's drug output passes through Venezuela and that Venezuelan authorities neutralize 70% of it. He even expressed willingness to engage in dialogue through U.S. Special Envoy Richard Grenell, citing past successes in resolving disputes and facilitating the release of U.S. citizens. Now, despite Maduro's overture, the White House has stood firm. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said that the administration's position has not changed and emphasized that all measures are aimed at stopping illegal drug trafficking from Venezuela into the United States.
View the Maduro regime as illegitimate, and the president has clearly shown that he's willing to use any and all means necessary to stop the illegal trafficking of deadly drugs from the Venezuelan regime into the United States of America.
Meanwhile, inside Venezuela, reactions to the U.S. military presence are divided. Thousands of citizens have joined a civilian militia in response to President Maduro's call to strengthen the country's defenses.
Of course, it's important to learn to handle these kinds of information, because given current events, which we don't know how they will unfold, we must be ready for any future situation. Therefore, it's important that all people manage this information.
Now, some Venezuelans actually support U.S. actions, hoping it might accelerate the end of Maduro's rule. Exiled presidential candidate Mundo Gonzalez, recognized by the United States as Venezuela's legitimate leader, called the military deployment necessary to dismantle what he described as Maduro's criminal structure. An opposition figure, Maria Corina Machado, also echoed these concerns, warning that crime gangs pose a real and growing threat to regional security. And as the diplomatic and military tensions continue to intensify, President Trump, speaking on Truth Social, has demanded Venezuela accept the return of prisoners and individuals from mental institutions he claims were forcibly sent to the U.S., warning of incalculable consequences if they are not returned. So far, Caracas has not formally responded, even as deportation flights to Venezuela continue. With both sides maintaining firm stances and military operations ongoing, the situation remains highly volatile. In fact, analysts warn that any misstep would have wide-reaching consequences not just for Venezuela and the U.S., but for the entire Caribbean region. And as the high-stakes confrontation unfolds, the world continues to watch very closely.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
$36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI,
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor
Hindi,
$30 trillion kakaljo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
4 do idioma.
Portuguese,
Por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.